All right, we're ready, Paula?
Yep.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Troy City Council meeting for February 18th. Call the meeting to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To let everyone know, we're gonna have a little technical difficulty with our normal setup, so we're just running off the laptop. So if we can try to be courteous and not cut other people off because the audio gets pretty jumbled when two people are trying to talk. So just to give everyone a heads up on that. And we'll move on to public comments for matters on the agenda. Does anyone have any public comments? All right, moving right along to new business. We'll go through the consent agenda, which is going to be the claims, minutes for February 16th and February 3rd.
December 16th.
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
December.
And I just wanted to point out that for the claims, Cheryl pointed out, looking at the invoice for Montana Sky, that it was billing us for 2 fax machines, which we don't have any fax machines.
Oh, okay.
So we checked in on those. I had already processed the claim. I checked in with them on it. One of them is for the police department, so we left that one
Okay.
and had them note that that's what it's for.
Okay.
The other one, we don't know where it was, so I asked them. It might have been.
Let's go through this one back.
Yeah, so there hasn't been any activity on it, so they, because they looked it up and they had no activity on it, so they deleted it, but I figured they were deleting it next month. Well, they didn't. The money they took out of the account was $9.95 less, so really, the total of the claims is, I wrote it on in here, is 164,608.06. Okay.
What's that?
Do we have the tree removal budget?
Probably came out for it for maintenance.
It came out of the street. Yes, streets.
Oh, okay.
It was one that was
partially in our right of way. Something that beforehand would have been donated, but now we got it zoned for.
Okay.
So we had to take it from somewhere, and it seemed the most logical.
Okay. Hey Ward, did we ever get the sign repaired? That was it?
This is
Awesome. You guys ready? I'll ask for a motion to approve the claims for February 18th.
Motion to approve claims.
All in favor? For a second, take a second. Getting a little out of myself. Mhm.
I'll make that second.
Mhm. All in favor? Yeah, sorry. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes for December 16th for the city council meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
That's a second.
All in favor? Then I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of February 3rd work meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Moving on to new business licenses, we have a couple here. And when we're done with you guys, you can leave, you don't have to stick through the whole meeting. I know we're not that exciting, so we do have a new business for Kaylee Skranick. Kaylee? No, come on up and kind of explain what you're doing
She's standing.
over there, so, yeah, or wherever. Pretty informal.
My name is Kayla Skranick. I'm a licensed barber. I live in Troy, but I'm working in Libby, so hoping to work closer to home so I don't have to commute as far.
So barber, you're fully beard, have a barber's chair. Okay,
Straight razor.
okay,
You don't find that.
all right.
Yeah. Question calls.
What are your days are gonna be open?
Monday through Saturday, but no Wednesday.
Okay.
Very nice.
Where are you operating?
CD balls. Okay, so yeah. Okay, I'm gonna leave you.
Alright, so what do you have any questions?
Well, I question if a barber even needs a business license.
So if they're licensed through the state, like a plumber, electrician, and a barber or hairstylist, technically no, you do not need a business license in Troy because you're double licensed, so. If you want to go forward and donate to the city of Troy, we would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. So it's really up to you. What you want to do.
I'll go forward with it. It's per requirement, so.
Okay. All right. So I will ask for a motion to accept Kaylee's business license for Clear Cut Barbershop.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Awesome.
Very straightforward.
Thank you very much, and Sharon, will send out your business license here in a couple days, so you should have it, or we may be able to talk her into coming down and grab it if we need.
You can read it through that, yes.
Just so happens I need a beard trim, so.
Yeah.
Moving on to Liberty Log Homes with Justin Hammonds.
It was in tonight.
He wasn't gonna be able to make it. Is he up at Rosebud? So it's the same guy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
Did he come and get a business license?
He's got.
yeah.
Yeah, was that one for meat cutting or, so?
My, yes.
Micro.
It's gonna have nursery.
She'll have multiple.
Mhm. So I haven't talked to him about what he's doing up there, so I guess it's up to you guys if you wanna hold this over till next month, table it, or if we really wanna go for it. He's been in here several times.
Yeah, we've been on for your next. So we shot everyone.
Yeah.
That someone.
Okay, so I'll ask for a motion to approve Liberty Log Homes.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Do I have a second?
Justin.
All in favor? Unanimous. Alright. And then moving on to Modern Storage with Kip Hartman. Kip,
Yeah,
you're up.
well, I guess not a new business, just taking over from Larry Davis. I bought the units that are in town here and also at the top of the hill there at Lake Creek.
Oh, if you bought one, somebody,
Oh,
and Gina had on top of now.
Yeah,
Oh, nice, nice.
Top of the hill up by the junction with.
yeah,
The
Lake
one
Creek.
right on the side, the other ones is Aaron's on the back
Oh,
side.
yeah, yeah.
So the one right outside,
Yeah.
on the left hand side.
But yeah, not looking at making really any changes on the ones in town. Probably add some lighting. There is no lighting, and I know that's probably gonna make maybe some of the neighbors look a little bit mad. But I feel like yeah, there could be some lighting there. The ones up on the hill got security cameras on and lights. The ones in town get lights and security cameras this summer here. So those are the only changes that I'm really looking at making. The ones up, I guess those ones are Lake Creek. I don't know if that's in the city limits or not.
So,
Oh, yeah. So no changes to the ones here in town aside from lights and cameras. Will be going in.
nice. Very good. So you want to have any questions? I'll ask for a motion to accept Modern Storage business license.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Next we have Dollar General.
See ya.
Thank you, Kip.
Yeah, thank you.
Next we have Dollar General. I have not talked to these guys. There's no telephone.
I talked to them by email. She was gonna see if the district manager could be here, but apparently they couldn't get him here. They're looking to open around March 9th if everything goes as scheduled and to hire approximately 10 people.
Okay. No.
They have no representative here.
No.
Yeah.
I do know that the new manager is working, covering the Bonners Ferry, the 3 Mile store right now. And because their other manager stepped out, so I just happened to be in there last week. So, I chatted with her a little bit, and she actually lives here in Troy. She said she lives up by the shooting range, so. But I know, like you said, they probably just weren't able to have somebody here tonight. She's probably closing the Bonners store or something.
Okay. Do anyone have any comments or concerns?
Yeah, so one concern that I've had is just the traffic increase there on Sunrise Road. Just wondering about the width of that road, of course it's limited by those curves there. I touched base with DJ. He shares the same concerns. It's just not particularly wide. I went out there, I think he mentioned they were like 20 foot. I went out there and measured. and it seems to, it's a little hard to measure by myself and in the snow, but it was a little bit under 24 foot. The road itself seems a little bit more narrow, and that was hard to gauge because there's, kind of a lake on half of it right now, and then, and the asphalt's kind of, there's not much shoulder,
Yeah,
so it definitely seems a little tight. Like if you're going eastbound on Highway 2 and there's somebody sitting on Sunrise trying to get out to pull off on Highway 2, and I'm going to make that right turn onto Sunrise, it seems a little tight. And if if I'm there with my plow truck, my blade's 9'6", I don't know if I make that radius without having to wait for that other rig to pull out. So I don't know. Out of comparison, I went and measured just on 4th Street here this evening, curb to curb, it's almost 40 feet. So it's a pretty substantial difference. So I guess, in terms of public safety, I'm really curious what the increase to traffic is going to be. I imagine they probably have some sort of number of, customers that they did their market research, right? They're not moving here blindly. I guess I'd love to know what that traffic increase looks like, and if there's any, if we have concerns with the first responders, emergency services, if we have to look at, do we need more information? We need to look at possible mitigation for potential impacts to public safety. So I guess that's my main concern. Other than that, I think they've done well with putting that fence up, at the request of the neighbors. And I don't know, does anyone know how they put that fire hydrant?
No.
They said they're not going to.
last time I talked to the general contractor, this has been a while ago, it was still pending, and they wanted to see if we would split the cost on with it. And I think everybody knows where our water budget is, so. And then he actually left, so I have no idea where that's at. I can maybe get a hold of Aaron and get his number and follow up and let everybody know if it's truly dead or not. If they've made a final decision on that, so.
TJ, can I ask a question? What does, the Iron Creek Cantina? I mean, I see semis pulling up. I know the Iron Creek itself is probably wider than what, Sunset, was that it?
Sunrise.
Yeah.
Sunrise is, but do they loop around and come back out? Where do
The
they come out?
semis?
Yeah, when they deliver product
They
to,
go Sunrise, Twilight.
uh,
They go down Sunrise and Twilight and they back in early in the morning
Oh,
because I go to Sunrise.
no,
I just see them like if I'm whatever out and about or taking grandkids to school or whatever, I'll see sometimes the semis turn and they go up, but I've seen them go by, come out or
They come out.
to Twilight.
Yeah, they usually turn on Sunrise, go down Twilight, and they pull in to the store so they can unload or the restaurant, and then they pull out on the highway to the.
so they.
I've seen them the other way. I mean, I've seen them going up Iron Creek
Oh,
or Iron Creek Road and going, cause that's where Trevor, like, yeah, I'll have to see them from the guess, yes. Okay.
Another question I have too, it's on here, their email address is beer and wine license.
Yeah.
In general, are they planning to sell alcohol? If I'm not mistaken, there are different provisions in the city code for that.
Possibly in the future, but that's just, they take that email address, takes their business licenses as well.
so what do you guys wanna do?
I think, certainly it's good to provide jobs and I don't want to get in the way of more jobs sooner in Troy. But I also think these guys have had ample time to come here and, get their business license. They know they've been planning to do this for some time. But I feel a little uncomfortable, moving forward with something when, emergency services would certainly like to get some more information, if not, look at some provisions for mitigating that approach. Now, whether that's some provision, conditional provision on the license itself, or something that maybe the city and them have to look at maybe doing some improvements there. Certainly the road's not in good shape. I think we can all agree on that. Like I said, I mean, Athens is late right now on the county shop side.
which that will be addressed in the spring. County's gonna put a dry well in there to capture that water, cause it is pooling and going across onto Dollar General's property. I don't know if we can necessarily hold it up. Because there's no, and Ward, I think you've done more research on this than any of us, is we have no MCA or city code to say you have to widen the road to accommodate
So I
business
think
unless,
from what I remember, the big hangup was, so you got. I thought it was a 60-foot right of way, it's actually a 50-foot right of way, but from the county's fence towards the Dollar General, it's 50-foot right of way. We have more than enough room to widen it from the highway to their entrance, but the hangup is the state does not.
the state.
The state is not. That was
They're the ones that said this isn't gonna get longer.
yeah.
Who's this? It's
That was just what trickled down to me was the state was only like 10.
That curve would be stayed,
Yeah,
and all it needs,
I think it's 10 feet. If we could just cut it off 10 feet and move the curve back a little
Yeah,
bit.
solve the problem. Right.
It kind of sounded like
maybe that one's got
the
CBD.
state did one.
The guy wire going down that pole, you know, behind that curve, the CTV. You know, that's something you pass through the state, you know, see if they go for
yeah, I mean, I certainly think that's a worthwhile, discussion. And certainly,
it. 'Cause eventually that big trucks cutting the corner, even a fire truck or somebody's sitting in.
We take that corner every day with the bus 2 times.
Yeah, but
Seen many a logging truck when he's out to the top of his head, loaded out and all that, so. I mean, it's not ideal, it's not, and I think we can all agree that it's not ideal, it's not the widest intersection, it's,
It's good to know how much traffic, I think. Of course, we know it's gonna generate, when I drive around the store, Libby, there's, half dozen or more per usually, but
it's not
to sit there,
generate that much more traffic.
let's sit there all day, count,
There's a lot of traffic. A lot of people come down I and come around to that intersection instead of stopping at the bottom to get some.
it's just, that end of town, you're ramping up, getting ready to, hit 60, or you were hitting 60 and you're braking a little bit slower than you should. So again, I just, being cautious of public safety, I just worried somebody, can't quite make that corner, other ass end sticking out.
Just have the same scenario.
well, again, we're.
Still, my drive's out.
Same problem with visual and everything, and we ran through, you really can't stop them from doing it. I mean, in a perfect world, we'd love to have the road widened,
Yeah,
I mean, for sure, for all of us, but. I don't see that, so.
Just banging a helicopter flashing light.
Sorry, that's another state, we can't just hang something across the road without their permission.
You hang your baggers through the holidays across the road,
That's on our utility.
you know.
We could look at doing a highway study once traffic, like once there is that increase in traffic. For the state to do a highway study.
Yeah, you'd have to submit a request
Justify
for
that.
that, yes.
But doing it beforehand wouldn't give us much.
But we're not gonna do it by March. Nothing, no. No. We're not gonna,
Nothing realistic.
yeah, we're not gonna get the curb widened anytime in the near future. And if they're gonna wanna start in March. 6th, you said?
Right.
9th, yeah, I mean, ideally, I think. We just continue to monitor it, I mean, we can what if it to death. I know we had a problem with Cantina, just new business and everything, and we had a lot of traffic issues down there. But they also park along the highway because of limited parking, but the good thing, I guess, about Dollar General is they have their own parking lot. To be able to handle that. So it's entering exit. So. But it's up to you guys on what you wanna do, you wanna table it and see if we can't resolve this before they open. We've never told a business, no, they can't open without a business license, just because we only meet once a month. So,
Well, we've talked about this before and that we can't
Yeah,
force them to do it. We can't. I mean, I wish we could.
I say we're just getting licenses. We're gonna have to move forward with this, and first of all, this was stopped a while ago, sorry, wheels are in motion here. We wanted that road around. You know, we tried every way possible to get what we get, and that's what we got.
and this is, a shortcoming in our ordinances and everything of not having. But then again. We have some pretty unique circumstances with Town Pump moving in and doing their construction and Dollar General coming in and they moved a lot quicker and everything, so it's something that I think we as the city needs to address. As in, when we have new businesses coming in, that we have provisions in place that if it's the traffic or any road improvements are on the contractor and develop. We can't go after the fact. And do it.
Same time, I think it's, it would have been a show of good faith for that presentation here. I think I have more questions than answers. And if the council proceeds with a vote, probably be inclined to abstain due to lack of sufficient information. And for the MCA, the council may refuse to issue licenses when it may be deemed, when it may deem it best for the public interests. And given the concerns from fire chief, that's my stance.
What do you guys want to do?
Yeah, this can still vote. Be a tiebreaker, we can say.
Would have been nice if they had sent somebody to answer questions.
So I guess just going forward, if somebody doesn't show up, are we gonna say no to everyone not showing up, like we just approved somebody that didn't show up?
Yeah, none of us had a.
I wanna just set the precedence going forward.
Well, we have
If they don't have representation here, we're not gonna approve it, and they need to know that beforehand. If we have questions that need to be answered, I think that's fair to let any business owner know.
It's across the board.
It doesn't.
But we may not, I mean, there's some that, like, we all know that, and we all know what they're doing, and we don't have questions, but. We often don't approve them if they're not here.
I mean, it does happen quite a bit where it's just tabled if they're not here, nobody knows that.
That certainly could, bring a, like you mentioned, a good discussion on amending the process. Perhaps getting, comment from, if it's a restaurant, or maybe, form, if you're a food service, you have you talked to the county, you got your proper permitting from,
Right.
Health department. Or in this case, or maybe having, fire department kind of, at least comment, do you have any concerns, yes or no, or something like that, or at least get some signatures, from maybe Public Works or what have you. It's just a thought.
That would be something we would need to add into an ordinance to be able to follow that process or make a policy on that. We can't hold a business to a policy or a procedure that we don't have in place.
Yeah.
So, so if we want to do that, we need to set a policy in place for that, not just hold this business accountable for that to be able to get answers. And not approve their business license because of that. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. And in this case, compared to like the log home builders, wouldn't imagine that creating much traffic So yeah, you're getting delivery of logs and trucks, here and there. This one, though,
I would say you probably have probably more of a traffic hazard coming off that hill with a load of logging truck turning in left into that Rosebud subdivision and cars going out of town. Cause that is where it transitions from the top of the hill, 65 or 70 to 35 at the bottom of that hill.
Yeah. The chapel there.
They do, they have that issue too, so Chapels even has a little shorter. So, and as far as I know, we haven't had a significant car accident out there. So.
Have they given us or can you like you know if they've given us any indication? Because I know we've talked with them about this issue. Did they indicate whether they would want to widen or help us pay for that or pay for that themselves to widen that in the future when it is an option?
I did not have a direct conversation with the gentleman that was in here, sheriff.
So we're dealing with two separate entities here. Oh, yeah. The Dollar General, who's going to operate the store, is a whole different company than the folks who bought the land and built the building. Yeah. So we haven't even spoken with the actual Dollar General people yet. This business license is our first.
Right, so that is a good clarification. This is the business license for the store,
For the store.
not for the property.
Right.
Not for the land developer.
Right, yeah.
So
That
this is just for the business itself to run the business and sell the merchandise.
Correct.
Yes, so the DD Retail LLC, I believe that building's firmly DD LLC.
Yeah, this is a different room.
Yeah, but certainly there's no phone number on this. They have not filled out two business or personal references. It's if you can't even have some sort of face or contact with council, how are they going to be with people throwing? Again, just more questions than answers.
So I guess I will ask for a motion to table this for an incomplete business license application. That's probably the most prudent thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's next time they come back, we're approving the business, not the land developers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you just want me to have them redo the business license application?
yeah,
And fill it out.
Read it.
complete it, I guess. Yeah. So if they could do that, and then give me a phone number. Well,
Oh, yeah, TBD.
to be determined. Well, I wonder if it's probably just
Store.
Right.
right, which we also need. Maybe not yet.
so that's the motion table. Dollar General's business license.
I'd make that motion.
You have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right, moving on to housing committee letters. So housing committee, we've talked about this for the last couple months. We went out for a period of time for interest to the public, and we did open it up for residents outside the city limits because it is just basically information and gathering the ultimate decision ways with the council on anything that we do decide or what information is provided to the for the housing. Jesse has graciously volunteered to head that up as our city council member for the committee. So I guess a couple things that we need to talk about is we set how many members we have, and we did talk about we had 4 letters of interest. And then with Jesse, we'd have 5 members altogether. Does anyone have any objection to that number? I think that's a good number. No, okay. And then we have 4 letters of interest. I think everybody kind of knows everybody. We got Jason Williams. I know he's very excited about it. As soon as it came out, he gave me a call and talked about it. And I think with his experience with business and everything, he would be a great asset. So does anyone have any questions for Jason? No? I'll ask for a motion to accept Jason onto the committee.
I'll make a motion.
No? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, Jason, do you have anything? It's too late, you're on. So, we did have a last minute Jim Seifert that came in after our deadline. I talked with Jesse about that and I talked to Shara, I think it was Shara. I can't remember now, but it's just I think everybody knows Jim and he'd be a great asset.
Yeah.
To the committee, he's been a lifelong resident of Troy. He serves as on our county health board, yes. So I'll ask for a motion, or does anyone have any comments about Jim? I'll ask for a motion to accept Jim onto the housing committee.
I'll make a motion, except Jim.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? And then Cherie Miller, very questionable individual.
Highly says.
So, I think we all know Cherie from the Troy Library and her time there. Did some work with the chamber. And Montana State workforce consultant. So
And grant writing.
grant writing. Yeah. Once you volunteer, you're in. Like the Mott family, you're gonna get roped into other stuff. I should have left grant writing on. Cherie, do you have any questions, or does anyone have any questions for Cherie? I'll ask for a motion to accept Cherie onto the housing committee.
Who makes the motion?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Deal. And then last but not least, Susie Taylor. She's been to any city council meetings, you definitely know who Susie is. So Susie's also very passionate about Troy and what Troy does. She volunteers, she helps out quite a bit. She does a lot of work for our museum up there. It's much appreciated. So, do you have any questions, Susie?
I do not.
Does anyone have any questions for Susie? I'll ask for a motion to accept Susie onto the housing committee board or committee, sorry, committee. No?
I'll make that motion.
Jesse, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Scott, all in favor? Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'll second.
So yeah, so our housing committee is formed and strike the record of any mention of my board. Yeah, we don't want to go down that road. So it is a committee, not a board. So just kind of what we want to do is just explore opportunities either through grant writing or rural development loans to get some kind of housing put together on our vacant lot. What makes sense, what's feasible, will it work, explore that. And you guys can kind of set your schedule on meeting. I'm assuming Jesse will kind of have that up and then kind of go from there. It's pretty open for ideas. but kind of the general kind of overarching is that Troy is very in very much need for housing, low income housing for our residents, any residents coming in, and then also if it's feasible to be able to generate some income for our general fund. I think Sharon and I looked at some numbers with our apartments over here, and I think it brings in about 20 to 25,000 a year for us, which, knowing our budget, is significant for what we can do with it, for our parks and everything else, police department, fire department, and stuff like that. So if we can somehow increase that, that would be great. We're to the point with our general fund budget that we're kind of maxed out on how much money goes out versus what's coming in. We have to get a little bit creative on generating some revenue, and I think this is a perfect opportunity for us. So yeah, raising taxes, we'd have to go out to vote, and I think Montana State's last property tax hike shot us in the foot for being able to do anything like that. So, Jesse, do you have anything?
We got a question back there.
How many units in the apartments that you got?
It's just gonna be kind of dependent on what makes sense, whether it's,
No,
you know, on my next issue on 4. Yeah.
the permanent.
What's the term?
They're all the time for them to share. I mean,
Pretty stable. We had a couple of them open this year. They're 1 bedroom. 3 of them are 1 bedroom, and one of them is just a studio. So it's, we've got a lot more.
Something to think about. If you put something new next door, remove that one, make it bigger.
well, one thing at a time we need to have before we take away though.
Yeah,
Well, and
it's options that we can all look at on that property. I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure the overall condition or how old that building is and whether that makes sense.
so nice.
Which also make money, but not in a legal way. Paid more money than job.
Only before some state ordinances came in and like, well, so
Railroad was close.
yeah.
Okay.
It makes sense. I'm actually probably looking at it. We try to check the historical records on
Yeah, the jail is historical.
Yeah, there's
whether it's something we can even tear down. So it might not be. Maybe
It's
it's
not on the registry.
yeah.
So just the
jail and the
bridge and the jail are the only 2 that are on the Montana registry.
But it would sure ruffle a lot of feathers.
Oh, memories.
I don't think anyone's alive. Scott.
They're alive because of because of the
Oh, from descendants. Anyways, we're digressing. Never mind. Yeah, so that's kind of overall. Jesse, do you have any? You're kind of tuned in with some county stuff, ideas and everything. So
Yeah, certain resources to explore. But yeah, I'm excited, and I think committee has good range of
Yes.
skills and experiences, and but everybody's is passionate about it. So yeah, I'm excited. I guess procedurally, it being a committee, that would still need to be publicly noticed and the agenda posted. So do we need to have those meetings here or?
probably not the bar.
Or just go out.
So
yes.
Yeah.
public meeting.
Find out.
Never here.
So maybe then here, moving forward, I can.
Absolutely.
Raise some times.
All right, so we'll kind of wait for your lead on that, Jesse, and everything, yeah.
You know, so these guys get all their information.
Yes, we have a contact, so.
I think it's on all of there. For the years.
Yep, everybody's checked on all. Good, so, I'll be in touch. Cool.
Thanks, everyone. Well, appreciate it.
Guys can tell you. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Jason.
Bob, good job. John, we also did. Nice, yeah. So.
Moving on to our audit for fiscal year 2022 and 23 with Nicole. She prepared some documents and the audit report. And I'll turn this over to Nicole because there's no way I am going to try to decipher it. I believe it's to our expert.
Well, yeah, so we did complete the audit for fiscal year 22 and 23. And everything went well. Yeah, it did. We did have more findings and things we found more than usual, but we'll discuss all of that. First off, there's a letter dated February 18th, the information that I provided. And some things that I'll note in this letter. This is where I would communicate issues with the audit process. There really wasn't a lot of issues in that regard, so basically just some kind of standard things that we can talk about. The second paragraph here, there were no new accounting policies in 22 or 23, so no real big changes in the accounting. And estimates, accounting estimates, we always kind of talk about those. They were the same as in the past, where the state pension plans, their terms in MGORS are based on actuarial reports, and so there's a lot of estimating that goes on into their projections for 50 plus years or whatever. So those estimates can always change, but we do the best we can in looking at what they've done, and it looks good to us, each year, but certainly it does fluctuate. So that's like to make sure you're aware of that. On the second page, corrected and uncorrected misstatements. So uncorrected misstatements, those are things that we found during the audit, but we don't necessarily correct all these small little things all the time. So, and those adjustments are attached to this letter. They're on the back page. So those are there, but they are considered material. And then there were some material error corrections this last audit. So we did get those corrected, and we'll talk about what those were as we go through the audit. So, and that's all I'm going to review in this letter. Just any questions? All right. So if you look in the audit report on page 3, this is the independent auditor's report. So this is like the culmination, of the audit. The purpose of it is for me to provide an opinion on the financial statements. And so, just if you're looking at this compared to prior years, they did reorganize it for whatever reason. So the opinions are first now. So we'll talk about that. The opinions that I'm providing are unmodified. So that means that there's no material misstatements in your financials, because of course, whatever we did find, we corrected so that things are fairly stated. And that's of course the highest level of assurance that I can provide to you that the financials are in good order. Okay, so that's good. And then there's a section on the basis for the opinions, and that's where I provide an opinion based on the audit that I do that is in accordance with governmental auditing standards. So that's communicating that. Responsibilities of management for the financial statement. Although the financial statements are adjusted in this report, management is still responsible for that information. They look at my adjustments, say, okay, yes, that's correct, and go through all that, so they are responsible. On page 4, there's the auditor's responsibilities. For the audit, there's a lot of things that I do to to provide the opinion. So of course I exercise professional judgment. There's all these bullet points. I identify and assess the risk of material misstatement. I look at those risks. I look at your internal controls, how you do things. Where there might be issues and what I need to look at. I also evaluate your accounting policies. Take a look at how you're doing things, making sure that's okay. And then, and so in terms of that, we look at all these things, we plan the audit, and, I do this as required. There's always the risk that there is a material mistake that I haven't found. And these paragraphs here note that for fraud, everyone thinks, oh, well, you're the auditor, you find fraud, you do that. But it is stating that because the risk of fraud has an elements of someone's trying to hide it, it is more difficult to find. So that's just communicating to you that there is always that risk. It's common practice here. So I haven't been thinking of that. I'm not focusing on that for any particular reason, but that is some new information that they put into this auditor's report recently. And then on page 5, we have required supplementary information. So this is information that's included in the report, but I don't actually audit it. So there's management's discussion and analysis. There's some budgetary comparison information. And then there's also some pension schedules that we are required to include, but I don't actually have an opinion on those. And then lastly, on the report, there is one other report later in this document where we have a report on internal controls and compliance, and we'll go over that as we get there in just a couple minutes. So first off, starting on page 7, there's the management's discussion and analysis, and this is one of those things that I don't actually have an opinion on. It's prepared by management, so Tracy prepared these. There's one for 22 and for 23. And these were what was in the AFR, when those were prepared. And I have made the audit adjustments that I had in the numbers and revised those as necessary. So, and they're always, a good overview of the year-to-year information and why things changed and, what was happening in the city. So I always do recommend, taking a look at these and kind of refresh what was going on in these years. I'll skip ahead to the basic financial statements, starting on page 19. So on pages, and if you have any questions as we go along, please just let me know. Or I'll just keep on talking.
We're pretty good at interrupting if we need to.
Oh, yeah. Good deal. Let's stop.
You're good.
On pages 19 to 22, these are what are called the government-wide financial statements. And it's not really how you're, usually look at your financial information, because it's really for the government as a whole. And for the governmental funds, there's capital assets included and long-term debt, where you normally don't see that, in general funds or any of those funds. So that's what that governmental activities column is. And then your utilities are in the business type activities column. So I don't spend a lot of time on these financials because they are so aggregated. They, the more detailed information is a little more useful, I would say. But for 22, in the governmental activities, there's quite a bit of cash there, and a lot of that is due to the COVID funding. You had that funds that were just sent to you in advance of spending them. And so those were used in 23. There was some used in 22, but there's still some about 160,000 was sitting there waiting for projects to go in 23. Overall, if you take out the effects of COVID, your financials have been pretty stable. So it's nothing, nothing problematic or of concern, I'd say.
Catastrophic.
Yes, exactly.
Or
Yes. And on pages 21 and 22, this is the activities for the governmental, as a whole. You have expenses on the left, you have program revenues, which are specific to expenditure functions, going over to the right, and then at the bottom, you have your general revenues, which are your taxes, your HB 124, those funds are shown down below. And there is this one line here in 22, transfers in account, kind of towards the bottom. It's only $5,000, but I was talking with Paula about this today, earlier, but it's related to a backhoe that you purchased. And when you purchased it, it was allocated in a certain way to all different funds. And then when it was used, it was like, oh, that's not really how we're using this backhoe. So we reallocated that in 22. And so I did, in part to Paula that it's really important to look at how an asset is going to be used when you purchase it so that you get it allocated properly. Because, it's not about which fund has some cash or, that sort of thing. It's about how it's going to be used.
okay. Paula, just remember that. Okay, wink. Okay, we allocate it towards the account as cash.
There's those loans, that's okay, but yeah. On page 23, this is where we get back to kind of how you normally look at things with your general funds split out for the governmental funds. And then all your other funds are shown in other governmental funds columns. So you have your ARPA money in there, as well as your gas tax and all that good stuff. There's good reserves certainly in the general fund. That's looking good. Yeah, there's nothing of concern on these financials. If you go to page 25, this is the activity for those 2 years for those funds. Let's see. Yeah, I mean it's fairly consistent. There's no, other than the ARPA money, that's just sitting there. Other than that, and it's startup, and that funding wasn't necessarily used in these funds, so you don't really see the impact other than having cash in 22 and not having it in 23 because it was, moved to the water and sewer funds to be used. So nothing too overly significant there. You just kind of look at them all as you do because you only have so much available in that general fund to work with. On page 29, it's the start of your utility funds, where you're showing water, sewer, and electric separately. I don't want to say your cash is adequate, but it certainly could be better. We did have a slight compliance issue with the bond requirements. There is a note relating to that, and I also noted in the note that you did increase rates in 24 to address, needing more revenue. So I thought that was important to work with because we did have, we're looking at being right on that, right on that level there. So that was good to see. Let's see. And on that, bond covenant thing, we do have a note disclosing it, but it was not considered material. So we don't have like a finding that you're out of compliance with your covenants. It's just kind of noting that you had a amount that wasn't up quite up to snuff by a certain amount. So just like that. So that's great. Down towards the bottom, there's this line capital contributions. And that's where you can see So where you have in the funds, some grant funded projects. So in 22, there was 86,000 used, and I believe that was the ARPA funding from the rental that was moved over there. And then in 23, there was quite a bit more with overall about 400,000 in water and sewer that was funded in grants. So that's always good. I mean, there's a lot of money flowing up there, so gotta get what you can get for sure on that sort of stuff. And then on pages 33 and 34, there are the cash flows, which is just kind of a different way to look at the activity for the water, sewer, and electric funds. There was cash provided by operations, which is good. I always like to see that. Even without a rate increase, it's positive, and with a rate increase, it'll be better. So that will then increase your reserves. So that's good overall. Any questions on your financials? Yeah, race through those, but
Paul, lots of information.
yeah, lots of information. And if questions come up as you, I know you're gonna take this home tonight, study it. Feel free to let me know. Starting on page 35 are the notes to the financial statements. Again, for the first note here, accounting policies, there were no new accounting policies, so I won't review these in great detail. If you go on to page 43, there's your cash and investments. That shows, where your cash and investments are, how much you have in CDs, mostly you have demand deposits, although that is like a money market type of fund. And then you have some STIP. So that's nice. Good to see where you're at with those things. On pages 44 and 45, you have your capital assets and the detail of additions. Some smaller items at 22, you have the Peddler's Park and some equipment, things purchased. In 23, there was the skate park, so that was a larger addition. And then some of the water and sewer grant projects. Then on note 5 on page 46, noted your backhoe loan was paid off in fiscal year 22. So that's good. So then the only debt you had for 23 was the revenue bonds, and of course your compensated absences or sick and vacation leave. That's outstanding. And then on page 48, we have the bond agreement note 6, and that's where it shows where you were a little out of compliance with your net revenues with where you needed a rate increase. So, and it was put in here also that you did address that. So that's good. Note 8 is lots of information on pitch plans. So for as an importer, if you have any questions on what those plans are all about, you can just read this for your information. I'm not going to go over in detail. Yeah, so if you go to page 64, we will skip ahead to fund balances. Note 12, that kind of shows your allocation of restricted funds. And most of those funds are restricted based on state law. They're in their own funds and they have to be spent in a certain way. So that's kind of highlighting what those restrictions are. And then note 13 on the top of page 65, interfund transfers. You're moving funds for the permanent medical levy into the health fund, because the health fund is where those funds are used. So there's just some transfers within your funds for that purpose. So nothing of concern. They're all allowable, and that's all good. And then on the last note, note 16 on page 66 is your subsequent event. So it shows, some of the equipment that has been purchased in fiscal year 24. and 25, and then also some of the grants that you've been awarded. Right. So that's some information there. And then next we have required supplementary information, which is information, of course, that I don't have an opinion on, but I do take a look at. So on pages 67 and 68, there's budgetary schedules for the general fund. And I just like to note that there's no compliance issues on this. You know, they didn't have any overspending of your budgets or anything like that. So that's always a positive. On pages 70 and 71, there are some kind of friend tables for the ERF plan and the MPORs. And it shows your liability, you know, on the second line from the top. And it, you know, it fluctuates quite a bit, you know, depending on how the plan is doing. Because there's that line in the middle that shows a percentage, and that's the percentage of the pension plan that is at the state level that has been funded with investments. So when the plan is funded at 79.91%, you have less liability. And when the investments go down and what have you, and it's only 73%, well then you're like, because you get the turnaround effect of the plan's doing. So that's kind of the trends. And I like to point out that it really just something you cannot control when liabilities come down to your financial statement. So there is that. There's some information following that opportunity. That's it for the required supplementary information. So if you go to page 75, this is the report on internal controls and compliance. And so there were no compliance issues, no compliance findings. There were 4 internal control findings because we did have some material adjustments that we had to do. So you can talk about those starting on page 77. So the first one here, this is the only one we've had in the past, which was advances payable, because there was the ARPA funds came in, they came in ahead of expenditures. You know, usually your grants are reimbursement, but the ARPA money, they were shoving it out. And so when you get funds like that, they need to be shown as a liability, because if you don't spend it in a certain way, you're going to have to pay it back. And so instead of showing it as revenue, like normally, I got this money, it's revenue, it needed to be coded as a liability. And so that adjustment didn't get done. So
I remember going through that with LWCF grant too. So we didn't catch that until I remember going through that exactly.
Yeah. So that is just classification issue. So not something that's systemic. I mean, money's recorded, all that good stuff. It did happen in those 2 years, 21 and then in 22. And by 23 we spent on things. So it's not an issue. I did discuss it with Paula and why it happened. And, if something like that happens again, then there's certain things we need to do. And then the second one here, due from other governments. This is that timing issue where there were some grant expenditures in 22 where, 22 and 23, this happened in both years, where there were some grant expenditures, but the money didn't get requested until the next year, and that money should have been coded to match, revenues and expenses in the year that the expenditures happened. Kind of saying that very well, but so really just a timing issue where we needed to record an amount due for the grant that didn't happen in years. So just kind of one of those accrual things that got missed. I mean, there was a lot of grant money coming in, so it's kind of, it happens. It has this company more than just you guys. Yeah. And then the third finding here is ending balances. So there was a couple of entries in the closing in fiscal year 23 that were booked backwards. So there was an accounts payable, the right amount was accumulated. Oh, we need to book this accounts payable, show this expenditure in 23. But when it was put into the program, it was, debits and credits were switched. So, so it popped up to me pretty easily, because if you look at the ending balance of that accounts payable, it's negative, like you have a negative accounts payable on your financial statements, that just red. And there was also a pension adjustment for electric that was backwards. Debits and credits just put in backwards. The rest of the entries were in their line. So it still laughs of, what was happening. So this is really to say, when you do these adjustments, you have to look at the ending balance. What did you want your balance to be, and did it work out? So those two things are lumped into this finding, because that is something we need to do. And Paul and I looked at the trial balance and where that showed up, where it was easy to respond. So that should be good. And one thing about that too is you do have this for fiscal year 24. You have a person, helping you do your AFR, and so those issues should be addressed. I wouldn't anticipate that would, those things. So, and they found this issue for 23, to fix 24. So you shouldn't run into those same things going forward. And then the last one, inventory. There was an increase for fiscal year 23 in the cost of some of the bigger inventory items, where all those, I would say the cost was based on an estimate of what the current price would be for all the
The transformers.
the giant one. Transformers. And so the list was updated based on some estimates of what replacement costs would be, but for our agreement, of course, it's based on historical costs for the inventory. So we adjusted it back down to a more historical number. So as you buy new things, you update the cost and whatnot. So I'm sure some of that probably needs to happen, but it's only as you just make things. So that was that adjustment that we did here. So, and those were the findings that we have. And Paul is putting together what we call a corrective action plan, to send to the state and say what we're doing or what you're doing.
Okay.
What you guys are doing to fix those issues. So yeah. And so that's it for this audit. Upcoming fiscal year 24, there's no new accounting policies, so no issues there. Fiscal year 25, there is some potential changes to compensated absences, where just depending on if someone is holding it versus using it, there may be just a different liability calculated. We'll tweak on that. So that's this one. There we go.
Anyone have any questions? Clear as mud.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we made you. Yeah.
It's dark matter like
That's that is a good point. Paula, do you have any questions or comments or anything you want to add?
we're going to sleep today, so and in the past, so
And we have to accept this, don't we? Do we have to vote to accept it? I can't remember.
I think you really do. I mean,
Okay.
it is what it is. I mean, stuff has been submitted. It's some places do, some places don't. I don't accepting it.
Don't remember either.
well,
Been through, I think, three.
yes, it's been submitted.
Okay.
It's out of our hands now.
If not, we can do it next month if we have to. Alright. Well, Nicole, I appreciate it.
Yes.
I know it's a lot of work and everything.
That's a question for you guys.
So,
So, the question I have, not on this one, is going forward now. So, in talking to Danielle Vincent, I'm not sure how to pronounce her first name, at Local Government Services. She suggested, since we're so far behind on 24, we talked about this before, doing the next audit as a 2-year. So doing FY 24 and FY 25 together. But we just need to, who are we gonna contract? How are we moving forward for that?
okay, so there's a couple thoughts on that, because we've looked at that, and Nicole, put you on the spot a little bit here. And
Understandable.
Nicole knows our budget in and out, and policies, our procedures, and what we do and how we do stuff and everything else like that. For what we have budget wise with our limited budget. And Nicole, this is something you're gonna have to reconfirm on your commitment to be able to deliver our audits on time without extension. So we need I would like a verbal commitment from you being able to, because we were in the hot seat,
Yes.
with this, and we don't wanna be continually in the hot seat, so.
Yeah, and it was really interesting this fall with the cities and towns that, the grantors just really very, this is it, you're cut off, it's not okay. I mean, that knowledge is cities come first, we have an issue, it's just have to be done, right? So, and there is a question, do you do fiscal year 24 separate? Do you do the 2-year together? If you did fiscal year 24 separate, it would be a little more difficult to say, yeah, I can do it. The 2-year, yeah, because I am getting things on my end, so.
Is it like for do 2 years, is it more, I guess, cost effective for your time for doing the 1 year?
So you kind of get a break for it, really, and the cost of the audit for 2-year. The only caveat or thing to consider is the federal component. I don't know that you'll have a federal audit in 24. Paul and I were talking about that, and wanted to look at, where that is at. If you spent $750,000 in federal funds in fiscal year 24, I don't know if you did or not. So, and if you're gonna have one in 25 anyways, like, it is okay to do the 2-year, it's a combined federal audit, you're gonna have a federal audit anyways, the only reason potentially not to do them together is if you're not gonna have one in 24 and you wouldn't have one in 25. But if you put them together, then you have to have a federal audit. Then it's not as cost effective. That's the only caveat. If your, projects are gonna get going, sure, you have one in 25 coming up. I don't know how much you've spent this year in those, federal funds, but I've done all harvest stuff.
So if we combine 24, 25, do we just notify the state that that's what we're doing?
When you do a contract, you do a biennial audit, it's called. It's just part of the contract that we it's just a 2-year. It's what we did this time.
Yeah.
So they see what the contract period is.
So your magic 8-ball says everything will go well in the future for us, right?
I feel like, some of the problems we had in this audit, because we were in a time crunch, right, trying to get this done at the end, and there were a lot of, adjustments. And so it was, difficult. But I do feel like those issues aren't things that should continue forward, with the external person coming and looking at the records and doing the, helping out with the AR. Some of those things should be. And then there are a couple things that I've talked with Paula about, the inventory and that backhoe, issue. 23, the allocation had to be correct. Depreciation's going forward for the capital assets. And so it's different from what you guys had in the end of 23, which then affects 24. So I want to provide that to her so that she can get the revised depreciation schedule for 24. So even if you don't revise your EMR, it's like ready to go, and it's, and then you can fix your 25 for the changes that will happen. So I don't know, that's a little too much information, but.
No, it's just with the possibility of losing ARPA money and funding. Not necessarily ARPA, but some of the other funding
Yeah.
without getting our audit in on time was pretty stressful for us because our budget better than us on this side of the table. The reality of that is, and us to take a $50,000 hit would be
Yes.
catastrophic. Yeah, I mean Travis have some kidney. It's still nice with that. It's in his contract. Yeah.
Is that inside?
Yeah, the community says it's. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And I don't want to. We have ARPA. We rely heavily on grants and everything.
You want to get whatever you
Yeah,
and you want to make sure you're,
and we don't want to.
is important to get these things done timely. Certainly, it's never my intention to be where I am now. So, so yeah, I do want to say if you do a separate 24, I mean, I would consider, getting that handled, but it's a little less, 24 and 25 together. I don't see any issues with that because getting my.
That's because the
schedule.
deadline would be further down the track.
Yeah. Yes, because I'm catching up on some others, at the end of this fiscal year that open up the, from January on, year from now. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other questions or concerns on?
So I think, what you might want to consider, I've certainly talked to Paula about would fiscal year 24 be federal, right? And, how it's looking for fiscal year 25. Federal, grants just to see where that's at. So you would then know what makes sense in terms of any cost differences with federal versus non-federal. Because that would, it adds a few $1,000s to the so.
We should get a heck of a discount for stress. Just saying. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. So. All right, so we'll wait for you to get a hold of Paula with that information and everything. I think we do a contract here pretty soon, right? To get you under contract for a significantly discounted price. Yeah. So.
Well, now, I haven't been, increasing my prices like
I-
crazy. So like
and-
a lot of us there.
Yeah,
It's so fun to me.
no, and I think that's one thing that the pricing that you do give us and the quality of work and everything is fair and it works within our budget. And like you said, our budgets, if we had to go out to another firm, it would be double, triple of the service you provide, and that would be very difficult for us to.
Honestly, I probably should increase my prices some so I get some more staff.
That's too bad we're locked in. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we gotta record it here, so. Yeah. No, we do appreciate it, and thank you for the presentation on the budget. I know everyone will go home and read it and have a thorough understanding of it, so. But yeah, Okay, you're driving back tonight? Yeah, so if there's not, safe travels, yeah. Mhm.
St. Regis.
The shot there across, we're kind of from Superior all the way back right now.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, we'll turn you loose so you can drive back, so.
Thank you for safe travels.
Thank you. Give me a moment here.
8:25.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're approved.
Yeah, you showed up to the party show late.
Sorry, I was having too much fun on the sawmill. I didn't hear my alarm. Nothing. Just got carried away. All right. Thank you. Yep. All right, moving on to old business, wastewater project. I have a couple updates for that. Due to our contractor low bid coming in, higher than what we have for ARPA funding. We're able to submit an application to the Montana revolving fund program to be able to offset those costs for our upcoming sewer project. But with that, we had to meet a different criteria for, construction. Davis-Bacon wages versus state wages, or that might be vice versa. American Steel versus Buy American, and a couple other things. So RPA did go out and ask the contractor to adjust his quote for that, and there was a $80,586 increase for that, for those costs. So that's going to raise the overall cost of our project up some, which is going to be a little bit of an issue, but we've all kind of talked about this. I do have some rough numbers put together for potential rate increases. This is numbers that were based off of the original quote that the contractors provided to us, so they're not exactly correct. But we kind of have two different options. We have a 20-year loan, a 30-year loan option for the revolving fund, and both of them have the potential to have a 49% loan forgiveness. And right now that's looking at about $550,000. So we're looking at about a $1.1 million loan to compensate for the lack of ARPA funding and the cost of the contract. If we did a 30-year loan, that kind of leads us into having some short-lived assets, which basically means some equipment's going to wear out before the loan is over, so they want us to put some money away for that. And if there's no loan forgiveness, and I'm reading this correctly, we would go from our current sewer rate of $42.82 up to $53.50, and that's on the low end because the 80,000 is not figured into that. If the loan forgiveness is in there for the 30-year, it would go from $42.82 to $49.05, approximately. So that's not a hard number because of that. If we do the 20-year loan, it is a little bit better for us. With no loan forgiveness, it'd go from 42. We'd have to raise rates to 54.96, and then if we did get the loan forgiveness, we would go to $42.82 up to $48.92. So kind of breaking it down with the loan forgiveness 49%, which Chris Hayes has talked to the state about that, and he does have the money, and it looks like we're a perfect candidate for the loan forgiveness. So we would get half of that, probably $1.1 million forgiven, which would be $542,000. So probably the best option would be the 20-year rate increase. But one thing that this does not account into is this is just a bare minimum rate increase and does not add anything to our reserves. And our reserves are what is lacking. I think we're around 60,000 in reserves for our sewer. Our sewer has been problematic for several years. It just, I think, came out of being in trouble a couple of years ago. So what we need to do, I think, is you guys, as the council, say what I did there, need to decide on our rate increase, what we need to do, and what we gotta do to put money away for our reserve.
Is that just the sewer side, or would that be the rate increase for sewer and water?
This would just be for sewer. Yeah, because they're two different enterprise funds.
I just didn't know if it was water in, water out, so.
No, we don't, no, we don't do water in, water out, but traditionally your larger municipalities, so we have 550 services. So that's kind of why we have to break it up as in two different departments, two different enterprise departments. So I guess we can start. Chris is going to get an updated loan numbers for us, so we actually know what that minimum rate increase will be, depending on which avenue we go with that. They were working on that today. I was hoping to get it, but I did not. So this sheet's off. It's low because the $80,000 price increase from the contractor is not factored into that. He has submitted an application on our behalf to be reviewed by the state, and it's just application that's submitted today to see what those stipulations are with the loan to ensure that we do have qualify for 49% and everything.
So we would know that.
Yeah.
Time.
Yes, yeah, so they'll review and they'll make the determination, and everything indicates that we will get the loan forgiveness portion of it, 49%. And then we can plan according to that. And then make a decision on whether we're just gonna do a bare minimum increase, or ask for, or raise it another $1 to $2 so we can start putting money away into a reserve, which I would strongly recommend we do, because we're to the point to where our sewer system is 20 plus years old. We're gonna start running into operations and maintenance problems, things that are gonna need to replace. And when you're talking about municipality wastewater items, they're not cheap. So just the cost of a valve increase from an 8-inch plug valve, total unit cost of going with that was $4,600.
That's just the increase.
That's just the increase. I think it's like a $30,000 plug valve. So and right now, if you think about if we ask for $1 extra a month out of everyone, that yearly cost increase that we would get for our reserve wouldn't even cover that if we had to replace it, Talking with Ward, we did go through with Ward, Chris Hayes, the engineer, and myself, and the project's critical for us to do, and being able to get in there, do the sludge removal, make the repairs. we're to the point where we have enough sludge in our ponds that it has to be taken out, just like a regular septic tank. You gotta pump it out every so often just to clean it out and maintenance it and let it start over. But if we get to a certain point with our sludge, then our turbidity increases, and then we can get fined by DEQ on our discharge into the river. Basically, we have too dirty water. So we're to the point to where everything that was proposed, we have to do. Sludge removal, the aeration line repair, the removal of solids and recognizables through the headworks building. It's all we can. There's nothing that we can cut to save it to where we won't have to do a rate increase. No.
And part of that loan is, the rate increase is required, correct?
If we have no other way to pay that loan if we did not do a rate increase. So yeah, you know.
That's what it is.
We know that considering the age of and maintenance, even Nicole said that her water and sewer funds could be better.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And Shauna knows this, just being on the council as long as she has. Historically, the council has been very conservative on rate increases. And have done the bare minimum. I think the biggest one we did was electrical 5 years ago was a 6% increase. I think that was one of our largest increases in utilities in the history of Troy. But if you look at our electrical department, we have lots of reserve. We're able to do some routine improvements without jeopardizing it dropping down. One thing that we do need to make sure we constantly keep in the back of our minds, council, is that we have to keep minimum reserves because the sewer and water are state regulated with the funds that we receive to put them in, and that we have to keep minimum balances. And if we don't, the state will come in and take over the running of the system and the rates. And I'm sure it would probably be a one rate increase of ugliness. So we all drew the short straw on this one with the sewer project coming to a head.
How's that happen?
Yeah. So anyone have any questions on that? So we'll have more information, and as I get it, I will keep everybody informed on that. Moving on to local government review.
Yes. So we had our second meeting and we're still working on the bylaws. Ben Kitty is gonna get that completed. We did have some questions because part of it is we have to submit a budget to council to be approved and we don't have numbers for budget. What was taxed and what is there, we need to know so that we can budget for trainings, you know. It's the budget being submitted as part of the local government review, so we need numbers. And then part of it is reviewing the previous charter, and Alona had some concerns with some outdated terms that were on the charter that aren't aligning with like what current charter states as far as like even how many council members there are. It's really outdated, so she was going to look into changing that, but she wanted me to let you guys know. And then the meeting agendas have not been being posted on this Facebook page or anything. They've been provided via email but not been posted. Like we posted them ourselves, but they haven't been being posted on the city's Facebook page or even so the public is made aware, other than just being posted in paper. I have only got one. They're supposed to be posted, because it's part of the local government review, which is public information, so it's supposed to be posted either in the newspaper or.
I'll have to check my email, Jamie.
Will,
I
I
don't
received
have
one for
any.
your first meeting.
Yeah.
She called me last week and asked if I would post it, if she emailed it to me, and I said absolutely, and I never got it,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I emailed the first one to you.
Yeah.
And then Lauren's gonna email the second one, but.
That's gonna kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just have her email to me and I'll forward them on so that you guys make sure you get them from now on. But yeah, that was the just making sure that those are posted. And then we're going to our meeting next week, put together the questions for like a public survey that has to be posted out there. So that'll be the next project going forward, is putting together a survey for the community and then figuring out how we're going to move the survey through the area and not knowing what we have to budget, if it's something we can print and provide, or if it's something we want to do like a Google document and share digitally, so I can get a budget. What we've got for, because our next meeting is in the 27th, next Thursday. Okay. That's it for me.
We have had good luck with
Yeah.
responses when it's just online.
That's what I said. I said, I think if we were to just do it online, even if we put like a little QR code on a flyer, put that out, most people have cell phones with a camera and can do it that way. I said, I am not really thrilled with doing it in paper and expecting people to mail it back. I think it's gonna cost more to mail out the surveys than what we're actually getting to receive. I don't think people are gonna take.
I think one too, is your survey has to be residents only. So,
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and so we were talking about in there, like you have to put your address down on the survey one of the questions. A lot of them can skip through, but you have to put your name, your address to make sure we are actually getting City of Troy residents, not just.
yeah, cause
anybody.
the couple we've done, it was
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah.
So, which is great, but yeah.
Yeah, but not really applicable. We're trying to figure out like actual what the thoughts are for the community.
Yeah.
But the meeting that we're gonna have for the following will be a public meeting, just some kind of an informational one, because I don't think majority of people really understood what the point of the local government.
Yeah.
is. Definitely. Like when asked, I think they just thought like, oh, it's just gonna audit like the city of Troy. And that's not what, I mean, the committee really has no authority to do anything other than just say, these are the options for
Yeah.
other local governments, other than the council that we have. So, I think if people were more informed of what it was, I don't think people were wanting to pay on their taxes for the review for residents. So that's it for you.
Any questions? Alright, thank you for taking that up. So, sure. And then moving on to the annexation of 118 West Kalispell.
Yeah, they did their part, I just need to. Next step on our side, ordinance or whatever. Ordinance, yeah.
So hopefully maybe on next work meeting,
Yeah.
we can have that as a topic here, so we get it together and vote on it. Perfect.
Is it getting hooked to water and sewer? Yeah.
Yes.
They're hooked to one, not the other.
Yes.
Hooked to water and not sewer?
Yeah, which
I
is,
believe so.
Yeah.
Yes, because they've been attached to water for 20 years.
they need sewer.
Yeah.
They get sewer, so they have to be annexed to get the sewer.
Moving on to department reports, I guess we'll just Travis. Go through yours really quick. Yes, sir.
Talking with Levi, we're still he's still putting together that training for us, and I forgot to put on here, you got the stuff, the targets and stands and stuff ordered for the fire and stuff. So we're working on rebuilding that program, and also as soon as that stuff comes in, we can get there and at least get a qualification in while we're rebuilding that. We did hire Ian Smith as a new patrol officer. Vehicles are in good working order right now. Working with the sheriff's department on our records department, training with we invite them to our training when Levi gets that together. We're we're working with the records department over there on getting us straightened out with our IVRs because Michael's leaving. Michael was doing IVRs. So he's taking care of that. And then we made the necessary upgrades on our computers so the sheriff's department can complete their Flex patch, which is the system we're connected with them on. So we're good to go there. Grants, I'm working on the STEP grant right now. And of course the COPS grant was approved and we're still working on the getting that filled. And then we had 48 calls for service this month so far, 4 agency assists.
One thing, if you could get with Paula, I know you need a couple monitors. You guys are working off the old little 8 square ones. So I think you need 3. Yeah, 3 totally. So
Put that one little donate, the state,
okay,
upgraded ours.
I donated one.
I
So
was so we had all the hand-me-downs and I was so used to hand-me-downs that I was just working on that forever. Until someone looked at us, that's really your screen? And I was like, yeah, why not, man? You know, and stuff. And then TJ gave me one, I was like, oh, a whole new world. It's just-
yeah. So if you could check your budget, I'm sure we probably have room left over because we've been pretty conservative with what we've been doing, and then maybe Chair can help you get 1 order, get 2 ordered or something. Perfect. And then Michael Miller's last day will be the 25th of March. And Michael's been with us 4 years.
4 years as a patrol officer and I think altogether 8.5 between reserving and dispatch and patrol officer and all that.
And he's gonna be the local highway patrolman, so he will stay in there. Is he taking Ford, is Ford retired?
Ford retiring in November, and then and Michael got the Libby position. So, which is nice because I was talking to one of the guys from MHP, and they're like, yeah, he can come over here and back you guys up on calls and everything. So, and Michael said I know how much it's needed over here, so he said I'll come over and patrol.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he's pretty excited about it.
Oh, yeah, as you should be.
Power report,
Can I ask a question? I just want to verify. So March 3rd is when Ian is starting, is that true?
yeah,
Okay, and March 25th is when
Michael.
we'll have an overlap for a little bit, okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have so I'll be working with Ian for a couple weeks there. I'm gonna have him then go with Michael for a week, you know, because I'm taking over Michael's shift and stuff. So
Right. Because I think we need to get his oath done and filed.
okay,
So I need to get that done so that we can
okay,
Proceed.
do, yeah.
alright.
You started in his little work for yet?
Have we got any applications from our
One,
one?
we received one. I really think it's a wage issue. When I look at wages of police officers, we're in the bottom 10% in the state of Montana. Yeah, and it used to be not such a big deal when Troy was a cheaper place to live, but it is no longer. So, I mean, if you can go to McDonald's and work there for as much as we're paying our officers, that's an issue.
we did have that kid from Boston. He took a job at the state prison because he needed to get something. Then he just contacted us last week and said, I'm realizing I do not want to be in correctional since he's done that for back in Boston, I guess, you know, for a much bigger prison. Mainly his background, however, he does have law enforcement background as well. He's not post certain, but he does have background. And so he contacted us and said, I'm still interested in that position. Do I need to reapply? And I said, well, you still got your stuff on file here.
And he said, okay, I'm still very interested. So
Well, you need to find out when would be a good interview time and then get our panel back together and get them interviewed. Like, let's try to do it this
Yeah.
week or next week.
and then what my plan is, we got some good guys. They look like they'd be good guys, just didn't have experience, and we want to bring them, anybody who wants to, anyways, on board as reserves and start training those guys up.
And then, you know, do anyone have any questions on power report? I don't think we got Ward report.
Yeah, Ward was a little done because of the many issues that have been going on with water at the naps.
I think there have been several frozen
Yeah,
situations.
probably the biggest one.
He does this over there. Mhm.
So, and he was hoping to be here tonight, but he was taking care of the kids and the kids are sick, so he came in for a little bit, but then he got a
Boy, don't I understand that.
little.
Parenthood, right? Just a couple things I made notes of why Nicole was going through is I think sometime in the next month or two, MMIA is gonna send out our insurance review.
Yes,
Okay.
already,
Oh, we did it?
yes, well, we haven't done it,
Okay.
yeah, oh, I'm trying to remember her name, and I can't think of it. There is an email, yeah, there is an email for that it's time to start working on that.
Okay, so we just need to make sure that like our skate park, peddlers park is included on that.
Yeah, probably,
Yeah, it's kind of property that we
because
acquired
there's a
or done.
pollution liability annual report that's an email came for that, and then the property renewal review, yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that was the main one that when she brought that up and insurance wise that I was thinking about.
Okay.
All right, does anyone have anything else on public matters for matters not on the agenda? Yes, sir.
I had a question if there was an update on the design of the Troy flag.
It's on me.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
It is. I have not, I was traveling last week and I did not get a chance to bring that up.
Talk to the sheriff about that and they would love to do that.
Okay. There's our update. Perfect.
So is this with the school?
Correct.
How's that working?
Slowly right out, and we're turn it over to our teacher and to the school system and have the kids try to design some and come down here and pick one out or whatever.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That'll be cool to have the kids.
Yeah, and we're gonna have the kids do it.
Yeah, fantastic. So is that just a picture or is there also a motto?
Well, that's a good question. So we're thinking both actually a picture and the same.
Absolutely. Can I submit an idea on that?
Right, something up and I could give it to the superintendent and have something to go with.
100%. I'll do that.
So,
Can I just come to the office?
yeah, we were on school, always around somewhere to work tractor, drive home, so. That's me.
I'll let my wife know she works at
Yeah,
that.
she's from Alvin Planning.
So I'll let her know that someone's gonna drop.
John, that was the sooner the better.
I'll do it.
Like for a motto.
Yeah.
Something for a Troy.
I mean, I think we should probably, as a council, talk about a motto.
Well, we don't have to accept anything. Right, I mean, we're just getting ideas for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we never knew, one of the kids might come up with a great model. You know,
Right.
you know, maybe we can take something from their knowledge, you know.
Where's this gonna be at?
The kids are just gonna do it, we'll give us something and we're gonna maybe incorporate it. We don't really need that.
Things.
City fine. For city fine.
Yeah, so for my business, I have the United States flag, but for symmetry, I wanted 2 flags on either side. And Montana has a state flag, but I didn't find, I looked it up and I couldn't find a city flag, so I brought it for the next one, that one.
Arguably,
Just an idea.
arguably the best logo in sports, the Milwaukee Brewers ball and glove baseball logo, very classic, was
Moving on.
student.
Oh, is that hockey?
Sounds like you need to put the bug in the ear of the high school students.
Yeah, man.
Oh, there you go.
Tens of millions on that logo.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Yeah.
sign baseball.
Alright. Any other comments?
I have a question. Since you were discussing the zoning a little bit with Dollar General issue. So has there been any movement on that with that committee?
Like zoning Troy? No, we have not, discussed that any further. We've talked about putting in more stringent requirements for building. That would cover that. I think would be more applicable than zoning. I think, in my opinion, zoning Troy is very difficult because we're landlocked. In my opinion, zoning's for if we're gonna go adopt in the future, a large section of property that we have that set up in place that this is gonna be what this land use is for. I think zoning Troy would be very difficult and limit what can happen in the future if people don't sell. Like if we make only highway front property be residential, but nobody sells their property, then, or excuse me, commercial, and nobody sells their property, we could lose out on a business. That's my opinion. I think it's very difficult. So I think we need to look at more stringent building codes that address more modernized construction and problems that we're gonna definitely see.
You're on that committee?
Yeah.
How often?
So that's only a small part of zoning.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about that you think we should do is zoning. So.
So when do you guys have your meetings?
Oh gosh, well, we should have one.
Now that you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah, we should, because that is kind of the next, it was always gonna be the next step after the growth policy.
That's what I was gonna say. Wasn't that gonna come from growth
Yeah.
policy?
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's recommendations in there.
so with the, I guess go back then with the growth policy, did that move forward at all or?
It's been approved and like incorporated as a city guiding document. So it's something we can go jump off of, but it's also something we get funding for to do the zoning process.
Right.
Thank you for asking, because just reminders.
All right, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Drive really quick.
Yep.
All
Alright, have a good night.
Two more. Two more. Yeah, I have not been able to.
Yeah, I've been around it.